In business, many times you come across situations where there are certain limitations, constraints, which stops you from doing what you want to do. Guys, I am the commerce specialist. Welcome to my YouTube channel, where you'll find videos covering various academic qualifications and professional certifications, including life-changing business ideas and techniques. Today's session is about limiting factor. What are limiting factors? Limiting factors are constraints. Constraints which stops you from achieving your objectives. Some example of constraint could be financial constraint, where you don't have enough money to buy raw material to employ a skilled workforce, probably to buy the best machines. Sometimes you have the money, but skilled workforce is not available. So there can be numerous constraints. Today's focus is to see if a business faces constraint, how to optimize profitability. So today I framed a question on limiting factors, where a business is selling three products, A, B, and C. Demand in units is given for A 1000, B 3000, and C 1500 units. Selling price for all the three units are given as 200, 150 and 120 respectively. The variable cost is given as well. What is important is this. It says all the products are using the same type of material, but the material is short in supply. We have only 18,000 kilograms of material available at the moment. So what to do? Frankly speaking, if you look at the raw material requirements, which is a very important part here, it is at the rate of $10 per kilogram. So if $40 are used, that means product A, each unit requires 4 kilograms. And 50 divided by 10, each unit requires 5 kilograms. And 10 into 2, that means 2 kilograms are required for product C. So a small calculation can be done, although it is not required here, is to look at the raw material requirement for the budgeted production as per demand. So if you look at 4 into 1000, 5 into 3000 and 2 into 1500 will give you a total of 22,000 kilogram of raw material. But if you look at the question, only 18,000 kilogram is available, so which clearly makes it a constraint, a limiting factor. We also call it key factor. Three terms are used normally: limiting factor, key factor, or constraint. Anything which stops you from doing what you want to. Our objective is to maximize profitability for a business, keeping in view the constraint we have. So let's see what to do. The very first step is I'm going to, add all the variable cost. I'm going to add all this. So if I add this, it becomes 140. This is my total variable cost, 140. If I add this 110, 125. And if I add this is how much? 70. So first step is you add all the variable cost. And then this variable cost you're going to subtract from selling price on top. So from 200, when you minus this, selling price minus the variable cost, you get contribution per unit. Contribution per unit. So 200 minus this will give you 60. 150 minus 125 is 25. And 120 minus 70 is going to give you 50. This is contribution per unit. This is the very first step. Selling price minus all variable cost. So the next important part is we have to look at how much of raw material is used in 1 unit of product A. See, if I divide 40 by 10, I get 4 kilograms. If I divide 50 by 10, I get 5. 20 by 10, I get 2. So each unit of A requires 4 kilograms of raw material, each unit of B requires 5 kilogram, and C requires 2 kilogram. So what I'm going to do is the contribution I have calculated just now, I'm going to divide it by the raw material requirement. So if I divide this by 4 kilograms, divide this by 5 kilograms, and divide this by 2 kilograms. So how much do I get? I'll call it contribution per kilogram, which is my limiting factor. LF is limiting factor. So 60 divided by 4 gives you 15. 25 divided by 5 will give you $5. And 50 divided by 2 will give you 25. So ladies and gentlemen, here we have to look at which product is giving us the highest contribution per limiting factor. Now, why we are looking at highest contribution per limiting factor? Because raw material is scarce and we would like to use raw material in making that product which gives us maximum profit per kilogram of raw material. Again, remember, because raw material is scarce, we want to put into production, we want to use raw material making that product which gives us highest return per kilogram. So if you look at these, which one gives us the highest return per kilogram? This one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank them. For example, this is the highest. This is my first priority, second highest, and third highest. So this is ranking done here. Ranking. And according to these ranking, I'm going to manufacture. So my first priority is to make product C. Why? Because this gives me the maximum contribution. Okay, so if I make the production plan here, production plan, first of all, I'm going to write available raw material. Available raw material, which the question says as 18,000 kilograms. So I'm writing here 18,000 kilograms. My first priority is product C because it gives me maximum contribution per kilogram of raw material. So I'm going to make this first. How much? It's not whatever raw material I have, I'll use all the raw material to make product C. We have to look at the demand. If you look at the demand for product C is given here, 1,500 units. We are not going to make more than demand. Why? Because we will not be able to sell it. So it is important to look at the demand of the product, which is 1,500. So I'm going to make first product C, 1,500 units as per demand, and each unit requires 2 kilograms. So how many kilograms will be utilized? 3,000 kilograms. So you subtract, you get 15,000. This much is left after making C. Now look at the second priority. The second highest contribution is given by product A. So my second priority here is product A, and the demand for this is 1,000 units. So I'm going to make 1,000 units of product A, and each unit requires 4 kilograms. So into 4 kilograms, that's going to utilize 4,000 kilograms. I get 11,000 kilograms left. This much is left after making product A. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the important part. The third priority is B. Now, if you look at the demand, we have 3,000 units. Each unit requires 5 kilograms. So when you multiply 3,000 into 5, you get 15,000 kilograms. But do we have 15,000 kilograms here? We have only 11,000 kilograms available. So we need to see how many units can be made in 11,000 kilograms. So what I do is I write my third priority here, which is B. I write this 11,000 kilograms and I divided by the number of kilograms required for 1 unit. So if I divide by 5, so how much do I get? 11,000 divided by 5 gives me 2,200 units of B, and each obviously will take 5, so that gives me 11,000. So in the end, raw material is finished. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be my optimum production plan. Given the scarce resource of raw material, given the limitation of demand. Now, the question says, prepare a production plan to maximize profit. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at profitability. Let's look at my first production, which is C, and I'm using 3,000 kilograms here. And if you look at C, C gives me $25 contribution per kilogram. So if I multiply 3,000 by 25, 3,000 into 25 gives me 75,000. Likewise, to make product A, I utilize 4,000 kilograms of raw material. 4,000 kilograms of raw material for A, and each kilogram earns me a contribution of $15. So 4,000 multiplied by $15, that gives me 60,000. And finally, for product B, I utilize 11,000 kilograms, and each kilogram earns me a contribution of $5. So if I multiply it by 5, this gives me 55,000. So ladies and gentlemen, you add all the contributions, 75,000 plus 60,000 plus 55. That gives me a total of 190,000. And by now you know the shortcut for calculating profit is total contribution minus fixed cost. So if this is my total contribution, I am writing here total contribution. Fixed cost is given in the question here as 26,630. So if I subtract 26,630, the remaining is my net profit. So 190 minus 26,630 gives me 163,370. So now I'm giving you a brief recap. A question was framed for limiting resources. We had a limiting factor of raw materials. We have 3 products. All the demand is given. Selling price, variable costs were given. The very first step to do is you just calculate your contribution. And obviously contribution is selling price minus variable cost. Selling price was 200, variable cost is 140, you minus, you get contribution. I did for the other 2 products as well. Once I get contribution, I have to divide contribution by the limiting factor. In this question, the limiting factor is raw material. So I have to look at how many kilograms of raw material we require in 1 unit of product A, which is 4 kilograms. So 60 divided by 4. Here it is 5, so 25 divided by 5. Here it is 2, so 50 divided by 2. I get contribution per limiting factor. In this case, this is contribution per kilogram. Once I get contribution per kilogram in red, then I have to do the ranking. Ranking is the highest is my first priority. So whichever gives me the highest contribution among these 3, C gives me the highest, I give it first rank, second and third. This ranking is my production priority. The first one I will manufacture first, come what may. But here please note of caution, remember we will not manufacture as much we want. We manufacture keeping in the constraint of demand. The demand is 1500 units. That's why I am making 1500 units for C. 18,000 kilograms were available, 1500 units, each unit required 2 kilograms. I ended up using 3,000, I'm left with 15,000. Then I went on making A. The demand is 1,000 units, each unit requires 4 kilograms. So 1,000 into 4 kilograms give me 4,000. 15 minus 4, I'm left with 11. With 11,000, I'm left with B. Each units require 5 kilograms. So 11,000 divided by 5, I'm only able to make 2,200 units. Why? Why not 3,000? Because the raw material is scarce. So I made 2,200 units utilizing all the available raw materials. Production plan done. Coming to profit, there are two ways of doing it. First of all, you need to remember how profit is calculated. The shortcut is total contribution minus fixed cost. So one way of total contribution is I know the raw material used and I know the contribution per kilogram. So 3,000 kilogram into contribution per kilogram, I get total contribution. 4,000 kilograms into contribution per kilogram, which is 15, I got 60. And then finally 11,000 into 5, I got 55. Add all the contribution minus fixed cost, you get the profit. The alternate way of doing this is we can also use the number of units. But if we are using units, I want to multiply it by contribution per unit. If I'm using raw material, I multiply by contribution per raw material. So you got to be consistent. If you're taking unit, you multiply it by contribution per unit. If you're taking kilograms, multiply it by contribution per kilogram. In the end, answer will be the same. Guys, one thing important I need to tell you. Here we assume that raw material is scarce. What if they have given us labor hours? If they have given us labor hours, what we are going to do is the step will remain the same, but over here this contribution per unit will be divided by the number of labor hours required. If you look at product A, it is 80 divided by 2, so it will be 4 labor hours. 60 divided by 20, that gives us 3 labor hours, and 40 divided by 20 gives us 2 labor hours. So you need to understand what is the constraint. Once you get the contribution, divided the constraint per unit. Ladies and gentlemen, this much for this video. Hopefully in the next video, I'll come up with solutions relating to multiple constraints. This was a single constraint, just material or labor, but there are possibilities in real life that a business faces multiple constraints. Raw materials is also short, labor is also short, you don't have money, you don't have skilled laborers, you don't have unskilled laborers, maybe plant capacity. Those questions are done through linear programming. Hopefully, I will make a video on linear programming. So guys, this much for today. I hope you have understood this concept. If you have any queries or questions, please leave a comment. I will respond to that. If you've liked this video, please share it with your dear and near ones so that others can also benefit. Thank you so very much for your precious time.